Hello everyone, welcome to Perseverance IAS. Today is Monday, September 27th. These are the important articles that you have to read in the Hindu newspaper for competitive exams. The first, Maoist influence down from 96 to 41 districts, Home Ministry. This is in regards to internal security. Please do read it from that perspective. Moving on, avoid shifting goalposts. Indian envoy tells China. This is international relation, again related to Indo-China relations. From that perspective, you have to read this article. Now moving on, a technocrat's push for Indian manufacturing. This is very important. This talks about an steering committee that was set up by the government of India called SCALE. This is one of the successful examples of public-private partnership. From that perspective, please do read. You can expect a question along those lines, and being aware of this article or the items in this article will certainly help you in improving the value of your mains answer. Now moving on to next page. Before going into that, Gulab crosses coast near Kalingapatnam. Again, this is in regards to CycloneGulab prelims. From that perspective, please to read this article. Now moving on. Now coming to page 3, the article in page 3 is IITD launches Center on Quantum Technologies. Science and technology perspective, learn what quantum technology is and which countries are in advanced stages of developing their own respective quantum technologies. From that perspective, please do read this article. Now coming to editorial, back in the game. This is in regards to IndoUS Engagement. This is right after Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to New York. From that perspective, please do read this article. Now moving on, flood management that cannot be watered down. This is again India-Nepal flood environment situation. Very nuanced, very important. Try to understand what the history has been, what were the projects that were taken up by both India and China to address this issue, and learn the reasons as to why this flooding is happening and the possible future way for solution. From that perspective, please do read this editorial. Now moving on to op-ed, stopping short of social justice. Again, this is in regards to social justice, particularly Justice Rajan Committee or Rajan Committee in regards to NEET examination. From that perspective, please do read this article. Now identity and public policy. This is again in regards to backward classes and SCs and STs, right? This is again in regards to caste census. A lot has been is being talked about caste census. From that perspective, please do read this article. Now moving on to page number 8. Again, you have to continue that article, Maoist influence down to just 41 districts. My suggestion for you is, whenever you are writing a question in GS3 about internal security and about Naxalism or Maoism comes into questions, try to draw a map of India in a box and try to highlight the area of Naxal affected areas in the Indian map that you have drawn. Remember, draw India map, highlight the Naxal affected areas and put the entire map in a box and try to index it, stating that the highlighted area is Naxal affected area. That is one way to indicate the examiner that you know what you are talking about, possible value addition to your answer. Now moving on, China's continuing travel ban on India's unscientific envoy. This is our ambassador criticizing Chinese actions. So from that perspective, you have to read this article. Now moving on, Beijing Lhasa Key road link completed. This is again Chinese push to develop infrastructure along the LAC, and particularly developing infrastructure projects like highways, like high-speed railway networks to Tibetan Autonomous Region and any bordering areas with India, particularly Arunachal Pradesh. This is again, you have to read this because of the current standoff between India and China. Now moving on to the next article. CJI backs 50% quota for women in judiciary. Again, you have to read this from women's rights perspective, issues in judiciary. From that perspective, this kind of helps you as to what are the issues. This talks about data, particularly how many see, women representation is important. From that perspective, please do read this article. Now moving on to page number 9. Again, this is the first page article called Scale. I talked about it. These two articles, this is regarding to both Remember, very important topics for economy, industry development in our country, public private partnership, and these kinds of steering committees have been a failure in the past, but this seems to be a success. That is why we have to concentrate on this 2 and 3 articles. Now moving on to page number 10, going digital for better health solution center. Again, this is in regards to PM digital health mission. Read it, perspective for prelims and mains. Because of recent COVID-19, health is in discussion right now. From that perspective, read this. Now India needs 4-5 more banks like SBI. Read what they are trying to say here, why there is a need of a bank, 4 or 5 banks like SBI. From that perspective, please to read this article. Now moving on, GMO sets up to rationalize GST rates. Understand what they are talking about here, what impact it would be this would have on GST in future. Moving on, no one should be left out of circle of safety. Modi, this is again in regards to vaccination in his Man Ki Baat. Prelims point of view important, read this article. Now this is an important article. Proportion of all cancer cases higher in one study. This you have to read in terms of non-communicable diseases. Why cancer is a challenge for India. What are the major non-communicable diseases or high percentages of non-communicable diseases that Indians suffer from, and what the government of India is doing to answer those issues. Very important sleeper question, you have to read it. Now moving on to page number 11. In letter to Taiwan opposition, Xi warns of grim situation. Again, China-Taiwan situation, historically read what is going on. Just be aware, exam point of view not important, but nonetheless be aware. Now moving on, Taliban asks airline to resume international flights. Understand what they are trying to say here. There has been a push from China and Pakistan to legitimize Taliban. This step is in that direction. Be aware of what they are doing in terms of women rights and girl rights and freedom of press, so on and so forth in Afghanistan. Now moving on to next article. Myanmar military blames rebel for internet blackouts. Understand what is going on in Myanmar, the impact it is having on BRICS. Okay, sorry, not BRICS, but international United Nations. Okay, and also this article, Taliban asks airline article, read what is the issue with BRICS and Taliban in terms of Afghanistan. These are the important articles that you have to read in the Hindu newspaper for today for competitive exams. Please do subscribe to the channel. Please leave a comment below as to whatever you have a questions in regards to. Please like the video and please do share the video. Thank you. Stay safe. Namaste.